let me talk a little bit, just briefly, if I may, about Austin. He comes from a family of service. His father, Larry, is a career he's a paramedic too, or is he just a firefighter? EMT. So he's a career firefighter for the city of Iowa City. And so Austin kind of learned that pattern of behavior from his good role models, his parents. He has started his family of service also. His wife, Jenna in the back, she's a very talented paramedic that works at Unity Point as well. So he's also, Austin is also a non-commissioned officer in the Iowa National Guard too. So absolutely. So Austin works on the B shift for Captain Barker, where he does a good job, and he's assimilated into the fabric of the fire department. He's a pleasure to have around, and we're very, very thankful that we were able to catch him off the list and put him on the roster. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Present that to you. I hope you have another 20 more if you can take it. That'd be great. We'd love to keep you if you're willing to stay. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's take a picture.
Hey. Thank you. Would Kristen Titus please come to the microphone? Hi there.
I didn't know who was introducing me.
Yeah, I lied to you earlier. Kristen Titus, we're going to give a 10-year service recognition. Kelsey Stafford could not be here, so she wrote down a few words, and she has quite a bit to say about Kristen. Be scared, okay? According to Kelsey, she said, "I'm so saddened that I could not be present tonight to certify Kristen's 10-year milestone, as she is an exemplary team member worthy of celebrating. Kristen demonstrates her passion for the outdoors, providing excellent park facilities and services to all ages and trees, of course, every day. She brings out an electric positivity to projects big and small, while also tackling problems with a fierce determination. Kristen is such a passionate, big dreamer, and it shows in how she can take a concept and bring it into full-bore reality. Kristen is a certified arborist that translates her love for trees into tireless boots-on-the-ground effort to re-tree the city. In my 9 months of working alongside of her, I've seen her bring the park staff and our local Trees Forever chapter together on several projects. She utilizes a Trees for Kids grant to plant an edible forest at Bicentennial Park, Optimist Park, and Anson Park, which will provide free, accessible food across neighborhoods. Kristen has executed the CDBG Derecho Recovery Grant to plant 341 trees in the first ward in order to bounce back from the tornado and derecho disasters. She has helped to facilitate tree giveaways and started a gravel bed nursery to grow healthier, more resilient seedlings. Kristen's dedication to trees and regrowing Marshalltown is unmatched. It takes a special person to lead a crew of 4 full-time and 8 seasonal employees to manage just under 320 acres of parkland. Every day brings a new challenge, and Kristen faces them head-on. From capital projects to trail maintenance and aquatic center mechanics to equipment operations, there is no obstacle too big or too small for Kristen. In her 10 years with the City of Marshalltown, Kristen has used her skills in landscaping design, tree health, and diversity, park maintenance, customer service, and most of all, her get-it-done attitude to make Marshalltown a more beautiful and healthy place to live. Congratulations, Kristen, on 10 years of dedication to the residents of Marshalltown and many more. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next we have Chad Hillers.
Good evening, Chris Jones, Chief of Police here in Marshalltown. Tonight I have a great opportunity to introduce a couple staff members that have been with me for 20 years as of this month, and you're going to look at two very distinct aspects of our department, both from the skill levels of both of the officers, but from the standpoint of what I tell young officers, and we have comments and discussions about what it's like being in law enforcement. I always let people know that really law enforcement in itself can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to pursue a career, you can choose to come to work and you can do what's expected of you, and you can go home to your family or your other activities, and that is perfectly fine. On the other side, you can come to work, you can put yourself in different situations to learn different things, you can expand your knowledge and experience, and you can get the most out of that career before your time ends up coming to a close. And both of these individuals today have made the most of the 20 years that they've worked for our agency, and they've done a wonderful job for the Marshalltown community and the Marshalltown Police Department. Chad Hillers has been a wonderful addition for us as a lieutenant within our department. He currently leads our day shift patrol operations, but outside of just regular patrol operations, he's really our residential department expert in firearms and use of force. So from a tactical side, he prepares all of our officers in determining what levels of force that they need to use, prepares all of our systems and tools that we have, and prepares officers to handle almost any situation that we have here within the community. Outside of building relationships, outside of our community for things that might be much larger for us to be able to handle. Chad, throughout his career, has not only been an instructor for us, but he's also been a liaison for our police union for a number of years. He had worked within the Mid-Iowa Drug Task Force for a number of years, so he has investigative experience. And he has done a great job mentoring people either through our field training program, but then also as a leader within the day shift patrol, keeping everybody in line, not necessarily by his general appearance, but if you get to know him, you have to realize that he's really kind of really softy down deep inside, especially when you see him do those kid tours around the police department.
That's probably why no one came up to talk at the beginning.
That's probably true. I've had a unique opportunity to be with Chad from the moment that we did our background investigation in his home in Dyersville. I had an opportunity to sit down with him 20 years ago, which seems like yesterday. And believe it or not, he looks almost exactly like I remember him when I was at his house talking to him. But what we were able to do is continue to build a relationship. Chad keeps putting in for additional trainings. He does everything for the community, everything for the shift. And he really is doing a great job, not only mentoring officers that have a lot of experience, but then training those new officers and being a great example for our department. So I want to congratulate you on your 20 years of service.
All right, well, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Detective Lagerschultz. Detective Lagerschultz here with his family in the back, his wife Meredith. Yes. And also 20 years of service. And Craig and I have had a great opportunity to work together throughout his career, even from the beginning. But Craig comes from a different aspect of our agency that really I've relied on continually throughout my career. And when you look at both Chad and Craig, these are two individuals that I speak to privately, I get advice from, and I wholeheartedly trust in what they do, not necessarily for the department, but for our staff and making sure that we're attending to those people. One of Craig's jobs currently is an investigator. He specializes in violence against women cases, sexual assault cases, so some of the more sensitive or most sensitive cases that we have in our community. But he has done a very good job at working with victims and making sure that our cases from the patrol end, even from the young officers or experienced officers, are investigated to the extent that they can be prosecuted with the county attorney's office. And he does a great job at reviewing those cases and working with those victims. Craig similarly has worked with our police union. He's been a unit steward, much like Chad. And when you are in a leadership position, those are always people that you want to try to keep and befriend and keep close to you, so you can find out exactly when you're looking at morale issues, exactly what the staff is feeling. And Craig and I have had many private conversations. And he's always been a good sounding board for me as we try to make the right decisions for staff and for the department. Craig is one of our instructors for verbal judo. He helps teach people how to utilize their words rather than the use of force tools that Chad uses. He helps officers make decisions on when they can use force and has led our crisis negotiation team for a very long time. So anytime that we have a circumstance or situation that's very hazardous for officers or hazardous for the community, both of those officers come in. Chad handles the tactical side of it, and then we bring in Craig to be able to help and negotiate. And between the two of them and taking advice from both of them, we can try to make good resolutions to figure out what the safest way to handle those situations are. Craig was a school resource officer for the Marshtown High School for a very long time, and had a great opportunity to work with him, not only as a supervisor for a school resource officer, but then also he was our crime scene technician when was the last crime scene technician we had before we moved it to a civilian position. So he has that detective experience, which I'm sure has helped him in a lot of our major cases that we had. But once again, he would be our backup when Courtney Watson wouldn't be available. Craig has been a great friend, and much of what I end up getting from Craig is we make sure, probably the most cherished part that I can, reason that we have many meetings is he's also head of our peer support team. So when there's an officer that may have some level of concern or something that goes on in their life, Craig and I have a discussion, and then he kind of activates our peer support team in helping that officer, finding resources, making sure that we're getting those officers mentally healthy. And then has also been a tremendous support in our mandatory mental health check-ins and making sure that officers are doing everything that they can inside and outside the job. He's been an outstanding, valuable resource for me. And I want to congratulate you on your 20 years of service.
Hi. All right, so tonight I get the distinct honor of recognizing an incredible milestone for Police Chief Jones' 30 years of service for the city of Marshalltown. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to get to know Chris in his new role as police chief, and one of the things that stood out most about him is his balance that he brings to his leadership style. Chris is humble, he's thoughtful, and he's approachable, but he's also strong and steady in the way he leads the department. He has a very calm presence and a steady hand, which are qualities that matter a lot in law enforcement and in city government in general. Chris is the kind of leader who quietly pushes people to be their best. He sets high expectations for the department, but he does it in a way that builds respect and trust among the people that he works with. Chris is well respected, not only within the law enforcement profession, but also by the residents of Marshalltown, by this council, and his colleagues around the organization. That respect has been earned through years of professionalism, integrity, and dedication to his community. 30 years of service is something very few people achieve, and it speaks volumes about Chris's commitment to the city and to the people who live here. Chief Jones, on behalf of the City of Marshalltown, the City Council, and the community you have served for over 3 decades, thank you for your leadership, for your dedication, and for your service. Congratulations.
Just a second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I do want to thank Carol for believing in me when we were transitioning from a leadership position within the department. I want to thank the council also for that support. All of the department leaders that I've gotten to know over the last year, they're doing an outstanding job, and I don't know of another group of people that are more passionate about doing what they do as well as they do. Thank you for the fire department, Nathan White, my wife and family. I got to thank them too. My girls and my wife, who have really kind of been with me the entire way. I've really grown up in the city of Marshalltown, and they're a big part of that. And understanding that where my job is and being part of the community, and I very much appreciate them for that. And lastly, I want to thank the staff. I really couldn't do it without the people that I really rely on. They're really the experts. Over the last 30 years, I've had an opportunity to do a lot of different things. I've had an opportunity to travel a lot of different places and go to a lot of trainings and do things that just seem to fly by. But in reality, these are the people that I rely on to make sure that we're doing it correctly. And I'm hoping to be able to continue this legacy. And those people will end up filling my shoes someday as I start to think about what's next. So thank you very much.
Okay. Let's move on to item F, the consent agenda.
To approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to motions.
Motion to approve a new 8-month special Class C retail alcohol license for the Marshalltown Speedway at 1308 East Olive Street.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion number 2.
Motion to approve a new special Class C retail alcohol license for the Hampton Inn at 20 Iowa Avenue West.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Your Honor, can I ask, is this alcohol for sale, or are they using it for their guests who are already, or are they opening a new bar there?
It is available to their guests for like their happy hour that they have, beer and wine only.
But it's not a commercial establishment other than
Correct.
for the guests? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Okay, motion number 3.
Motion to approve a new Class E retail alcohol license for Iowa Clouds Liquor and Tobacco at 2007 South Center Street, Suite B.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay. Motion number 4, please.
Motion to approve a new retail tobacco permit and device retailer permit for Iowa Clouds Liquor and Tobacco at 2007 South Center Street, Suite B.
I heard a
Move to
motion to
approve.
approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resolutions. Number 1.
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the award of contract for the Water Plaza at Megaton Park Non-Skid Rubberized Coating Project, number PRK 22004, in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa, in the amount of $36,528.50 to Sundeck National Accounts, Inc.
Move to approve.
I hear a second.
Second.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works, helping out Park and Rec this evening. We opened bids on a coating material that will go on the Apgar Family Water Plaza. If you recall, back in November of last year when we awarded this project, those bids came in a little higher than the engineer's estimate of costs. And so we had gone through the project at that time and looked if there were opportunities to adjust some design elements to bring the cost down. One of those things that were adjusted and value engineered out was this non-skid rubberized coating. As we bid it originally, the bid price for this particular item was about $108,000. So we made the decision at that time to go ahead and pull it out of the project. Doing so for Iowa code reasons does require us to do a full bid package to go back out because you can't split a project to eliminate the need to get bids. So we went out for bids. We actually increased the area of which we're applying this non-skid coat material to. Originally it was about 3,300 square feet and now we're doing about 3,800 square feet. We're increasing it on the wet deck surface and we recommend approval for the low bid of $36,528.50. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Your Honor,
Yes.
about how long will this surface last before it has to be redone?
Yeah, so as far as the maintenance for this surface goes, we're anticipating that this initial application, you do some prep work to the concrete and there's multiple layers and coats that go on it. At that time, there's an estimated 5 to 7 years before a new top coat will go on. That top coat is anticipated to be applied by city staff moving forward, and we have reached out to a local paint supplier here in Marshalltown and gotten quotes on what that would be.
Thanks, Heather.
Any other questions? Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2.
Resolution approving a professional services agreement not to exceed $98,800 with HR Green, Inc. for design and construction phase services for the 2026 street rehabilitation project number STR 26002.
Move to approve. Oh, second.
I have a motion and a second.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works. This item is kind of an outcome of some of the strategic planning that was done at the end of last year. The city went out for selection of a pavement management consultant to help the city with some street projects. These street projects are focused on rehab of streets and not new streets. So city staff have gone around and selected various street segments. We are targeting street segments that are going to be in all 4 wards of the community. Each segment can be anywhere between 1 to 6 blocks. We've evaluated those pavement conditions. We've combined that with our knowledge of other construction projects that will be underway this year. That's both city projects and private projects. There are several projects and private sites that would potentially have heavy truck traffic, heavy construction equipment, those kind of things. So those types of streets are not being addressed in this project. We also looked at some of the underground infrastructure in those areas to make sure that if we're investing in a rehab on the surface, that we're hopefully, not knowingly at least, going to be digging up that street here in the next 5 years. We then went out and did some cores. Some of the streets that we're looking at are, I would say, borderline, whether they can be rehabbed or if they're in a reconstruction state. So on the right-hand side of the screen in front of you is one of those examples of the surface. Didn't look to the point where it looked like it needed to be redone, but as we took that top layer of asphalt off, the concrete underneath completely disintegrated. So we know that that street, if we were to mill it, would not hold up to the milling machine. So that's what our effort has been so far. We started with 21 segments. I think we added 9 segments. We've got this list now, and we're looking at going ahead and pulling those projects together, still looking at some risk measures on some of those streets. But if we look at a $2.5 million project, average cost of $100,000 a block, that's about 25 blocks through our community. So that is what we're proposing to go ahead and proceed to a final design level and get underway for construction later this year. So today is March 23rd. We would be looking at ordering construction on May 11th and then having the bid process and awarding on June 8th, so construction could start later this summer. With that, I would open it up for any questions.
Your Honor, for me?
Yes.
Yes, Heather, how come we went out of house to have somebody tell us what needs to be done when we have a new city engineer? And I have a follow-up question after that.
Yeah, so there's different reasons for you would go out and get an outside consultant. First of all, we do have a new employee in the engineering office. We're very excited for Ben to join us from the Teamy County that we were able to get him from. However, we also have other projects that we're going to have him focus on. One of the projects that Ben will be focusing on this year is the Center Street Viaduct. That project alone, had we gone out to consulting for full-time observation administration, we'd be well over $300,000 to do that. So we were able to bring that cost down to $100,000. So it's weighing everybody's strengths to put a project in front of them that they can be successful at. We felt that was the best use of the city's finances to focus on that project, and he will also be doing several other projects. Additionally, when we're in looking at streets, especially on streets that are borderline questionable, I don't pretend to be 50 years of experience doing street work every single day. So utilizing a consultant in that situation where we can really take their experience and apply that to the best, what's going to be in the best interest for the Marshalltown, is what we felt like was a good step forward for us.
Well, both of these other resolutions here, was there a reason why we didn't go with like Clap Saddle Garber to give us an estimate, since it's in town and we would be regaining sales tax from that and keep things local like we all like to do things?
Yeah, so our qualifications-based selection process that we went through, it was issued in December, so it was open for all consultants, including local consultants like Clap Saddle Garber, to go ahead and submit on. We received 5 full submittals, and I think we had 4 other firms reach out to us that decided not to go ahead and submit. So of those 5 engineering consulting firms that submitted, we had a scoring of a committee that went down. We then did reference checks on the top 3, and we interviewed the top 2, and ultimately HR Green was selected as the most qualified for this project and an additional project here that's the next item.
Thanks, Heather.
Yep.
I'd also like to add that I will be naming a steering committee for this. Mark, Councilor Mitchell, and Councilor Nichols have volunteered to be on that. I'm looking to have a 7-person committee, steering committee of mainly citizens, to sit in on this as we decide on the different streets and the different types of fixing that we're going to be doing. If you are interested, let me know. I'd be happy to put you on the committee. So, we have a motion and a second, correct?
Correct.
Anything from the public? Tim?
I just have one question. I've heard from somebody in the water department that I know works over there, and a couple other people, they talk about before doing the roads, that there's going to be a bond coming up to replace all the major water lines in the road. Would that be interfering with this, or is that still on the agenda eventually, that would all be reworked back up? As much as I want to see the roads done, but that was raised a couple times, and if they're going to redo it, just be open about that's coming.
So I don't speak on behalf of Marshalltown Waterworks, but I have had conversations with Marshalltown Waterworks specific to this project and specific to some other projects that we're working on. I'm not aware of the exact bond that's being referenced in that comment. However, I do know the area of town, which Marshalltown Waterworks is working their next water main projects. This specific list that we're targeting here has been shared with Marshalltown Waterworks to see if they were aware of anything on their infrastructure that would be potentially impacting these particular streets. And these streets were selected so that we would not be in that same area. One of the projects that had started and we actually paused a little bit on was East Main reconstruction there from 5th Ave to 12th Ave. And one of those reasons that that project was put on hold was because of that coordination with Marshalltown Waterworks. They were going to go ahead and have their water main replaced in conjunction with that street reconstruction project. So we've made an attempt on this particular project to go ahead and coordinate with Marshalltown Waterworks, and we feel that there's nothing known right now. Now, obviously, there's unknowns that happen, but right now these are anticipated not to impact future near-term Marshalltown Waterworks projects.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca. Yes.
Okay, moving on to ordinances. Ordinance number 1, please.
We have another resolution.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, okay.
Resolution approving a professional services agreement not to exceed $40,000 with HR Green Inc. for the pavement management study, project number STR 26001.
Move to approve?
Second.
Heather Thomas, Public Works. The item in front of you is related to a pavement management study. So the item we just talked about was really focused on the nearest short-term projects, what projects are going to happen first. This study is looking at a little longer-term aspects of that. So as we talk about pavement management, one of the things that people sometimes are hard to understand, and I want to bring to everybody's attention, is that when we do street work, we are not always going to go work on the worst streets first. And the reason for that is that as the pavement condition deteriorates, as the age gets older, the cost of doing so increases. And I don't know a single community in Iowa that has enough money to maintain all of their streets in good condition. So as we work towards improving streets in Marshalltown, we still need to have some projects that are taking some lower cost actions, preventative maintenance, minor rehab, those kind of things, investing smaller amounts to keep good and fair streets in good and fair condition as long as possible to extend that life. That doesn't mean that no investment will be done in streets that are in poor or very poor condition, but it is just from a financial standpoint and the cost, the life, along the life of a street, it is less expensive to maintain it if you're doing some of those smaller dollar items as the streets are in. One of the projects that's currently underway, in fact, it is starting up tomorrow, is the crack seal project that we approved last fall. That is considered a preventative maintenance item. A lot of times that work is done kind of in between the good and fair category on the screen in front of you, and the intent there is that it stays in that condition a little bit longer. So it takes longer to deteriorate when you do those types of activities. So it is not a Band-Aid. It is a financial decision to try to maintain streets in a less costly manner. So some of those maintenance and preventative items that I'm talking about that will be a portion of this study is things like microsurfacing, thin overlays, fog seals, chip seals, slurry seals, crack and joint sealing and filling, diamond engraving. So those are kind of the lower level, lower cost items when we talk about street maintenance. Then you could take it up to another tier and you talk about rehab. Rehab treatments like cold in place recycling, overlays, which can be concrete or asphalt. A lot of times the asphalt ones include milling and resurfacing. There's rubblization, crack and seed, and many others. But that's another level up. From there, you're at that reconstruction stage. So as we talk about a pavement management study, it's looking at all of these types of treatments and figuring out where is the best from a financial standpoint to invest in streets to overall keep streets in as good of condition for whatever funding scenario is available. This project we just talked about and approved, we're in this category. We're in the rehab treatment category, specifically targeting asphalt work. So as we talk specific about Marshalltown, we are part of a group and a program through the Iowa Pavement Management program here at Iowa State. And in 2018 and 2022, they went and analyzed our roads. They're also coming back later this year in 2026 to do it again. And they rate our roads on a scale of 1 to 100. 1 being very poor, 100 being excellent. They rate that based on different things like the numbers of cracks and various different types of cracks, number of patches, number of rutting or how smooth the ride is, and those kind of things to do that ranking. And they come up with what's called a pavement condition index, or a PCI. At the upper right is the 2018 and 2022 results for the city of Marshalltown. One of the things this program was developed was through the Iowa DOT originally, and the Iowa DOT primarily has roads that are interstates and high traffic roads. It was determined by a group many years ago, well over a decade ago, that applying those same criteria to streets in cities, which are lower traffic, lower speed, there is less of a emphasis on some of those things that may impact people when they're driving 70 mile an hour versus 25 mile an hour. So they reweighted things and made something called the city PCI. So that's what we base our information off, which is on the left-hand side. So you can see the 2018 data and the 2022 data as far as where our streets rank today. So 2.4% of our streets are in very poor condition. 13.2 are very good. 21.6 are poor. 40.8 are fair, and 22.1 are good. So that's where kind of our starting point is from the data that we have today. I did mention that we are getting our streets analyzed again in 2026. There's a little bit of a delay, so we don't actually get that information until late 2027 when we get that information. So for the pavement management study that we're going to proceed with, we're going to start with the 2022 data. All of this information is publicly available. So the website's up there. This is the city of Marshalltown and our streets, ranked again, color-coded, very poor to excellent. So this particular study is looking at the software that we have. It's called DTIMS, and we're validating some of the parameters that are in there, and we're doing a little bit of additional setup. So all of those treatments that I talked about just a little bit ago about different preservations, maintenance, major rehab, reconstruction, there's triggers in there that you set up that say, hey, if your street is very poor and it has these types of readings, or it's fair and it has these types of parameters, it gives you a sector of treatment to consider. So we need to do a little bit of work on that software to be able to make that useful for us moving forward. We will then be putting together different street project possibilities and expectations given different funding scenarios. Later tonight, we have discussion items on budget, and specific to road use tax is one of those items. Streets are very, very expensive, and in order to be able to provide you guys a goal objective of some type of a longer-term plan, whether that's 5 years, we need to have some direction on how much funding and where it's coming from for streets. So we will be working through this process to identify kind of what level of street funding is projected in the next 5 years, and then looking to putting together a plan between 2027 and 2031. I would propose right now that we specifically call out streets, especially in those first 2 years of the plan. So you know by the end of this study, in the next 2 years, these are the streets that are on target. I did mention that we are redoing or having it done again, the data analysis of our streets. In 2026, we'll get those results in late 2027. So with this software program, we can swap in the new information, and maybe the next 3 years of the plan would then get new streets. So we might just talk a little bit more of lengths or miles in years 3, 4, and 5 until that new data comes. Our intent is to present this information to you guys back in September so that you guys have that information before the next strategic planning meeting, the next budget cycle, and any discussions about future GO bonding. And I believe, Mayor Lottie Hoff, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the steering committee that you talked about is specific to this project as opposed to the
Yes, because
other
the
one.
other project you already have lined up.
That's correct. Yep. So with that, I would ask for approval of the pavement management study in the amount of $40,000 not to exceed with HR Green.
We already have a motion.
Yes,
and a
we do
second.
have a motion and a second.
Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Okay. I can move on to ordinances now.
Ordinance 15114 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa by repealing and replacing Chapter 90 Animals, second reading.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
No.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to number 2.
Ordinance 15115 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 76, Traffic Schedules, Schedule, I'm not sure what number that is, IV. Thank you. 5, 4, 5, and 5. For stop intersections and yield intersections. First reading.
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Heather.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works. So this is a culmination of a couple years of work for people within the engineering and the streets department in relation to our code of ordinance for stop signs and yield signs. This work is initially started as an effort to control intersections in Marshalltown that were previously uncontrolled. So an uncontrolled intersection would be when you have 3 or maybe 4 legs of an intersection and there is not signage, whether that's stop signs or yield signs, for opposing traffic or T-boned or perpendicular traffic. So through that process, we had identified 145 uncontrolled intersections, and we have worked with council's permission to go ahead and get those controlled through that effort. While we did that, we also determined that our ordinance that was last updated or recodified in 2013 had some discrepancies from what was in the field and what was in the ordinance. So we worked to update some of those intersections, and there were 18 intersections that we found like that. Additionally, there was some interesting wording. For example, if you have a 4-legged intersection, we're going to use the one just northwest of this area, so let's say First Street and State Street. Right now, the stop control is on First Street. They're the ones who stop, State Street can go through. Within our ordinance, the stop sign language would say on State Street, eastbound and westbound. And so that confusion led to some of the things as people updated the ordinance through town, they were in alphabetical order. And so if they went in to put a stop sign in, they didn't realize that syntax-wise, it was actually in another one. So we found a lot of things like that that we went through. In fact, we found 416 stop signs that were in a wording configuration that was a little bit in conflict of what you and I might think of as far as where those stop signs were. While we were doing that, we have not changed these yet, but we are proposing for 18 locations here in town to switch from a yield sign to a stop sign. This was a combination of requests from property owners and also our sign shop and street maintenance employees, and those are listed here. Again, this is 3 readings. But this is our recommendation that these 18 locations go ahead and switch from yield to stop signs. I believe it's Boone Street that I've had quite a few calls from some adjacent property owners asking why they only have yield and not stop signs. So while we've been doing this, we also looked through our stop sign ordinance and our list of stop signs and realized that there were stop signs in the ordinance that really weren't the city's to maintain or control. So some of those areas like I'm talking about would be Riverside Cemetery, retail parking lots like Menards or Walmart, the Iowa Vets Home. So when a private business has a driveway that comes out onto our roadway and they have a stop sign, I don't believe that's our responsibility to have that in our ordinance, and we did have a mix of that. We had some in some places and not in others, so we went ahead and removed those. We also removed stop signs from a couple of recent street vacations, West Lynn Street with the Community School District, East Lynn Street with Marshalltown Company. And then also we are proposing, and I have not yet done it, to change the control of the intersection of Washington Street and South 2nd Ave, or South 2nd Street. That's specific to the at-grade railroad closure, and no need to stop that Washington Street traffic anymore. So because of how our ordinances are online and some issues we've had with getting them updated, especially when we have schedules and tables, we have to bring the entire schedule back to them to be able to update that system online accurately. So there's 33 pages of stop signs listed in the actual ordinance itself. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those. But we are recommending the approval of the first reading of those ordinances tonight. That's both Schedule 4 stop intersections and Schedule 5 yield intersections. Additionally to the reading, I would like some council direction tonight specific to a petition that came before you guys to 6th Street and West Merle Hibbs Boulevard. This intersection is one of those 18 intersections where our ordinance did not match what was actually in the field. Our ordinance did have 4 stop signs at that location, which we had just removed in our working copy prior to that petition being filed. So with that, right now our ordinance does currently have 4 stop signs there, so that particular location would not need to go through 3 readings to be implemented. We did feel, though, because of how busy of an intersection this is, we did want to make sure it came before you guys one more time to get voted on before we made changes in the field. So specific to this intersection, we would offer council tonight that we are prepared and ready to go ahead and make those changes. And we wanted to be able to set a date. We're proposing this Thursday if council would like to direct city staff to go ahead and make that change this Thursday. We have lined up a couple of things for this intersection. We've talked to the county to borrow their electronic message board sign. We have ours as well to try to get some advanced indication. We've looked at some higher reflectivity options with putting some reflection marks on posts. We've increased the stop signs. We're going to add the rabbit ear flags that are normal when we put new stop signs up. And then we would ask for our TR partners over there sitting on the side to maybe get something in the newspaper so that we can make sure that we get out that Thursday is going to be the day that we go ahead and make this change. We'll also issue a news flash on our side. The other thing I wanted to share is that this intersection is a large intersection, and it's called a wide throat intersection. So because of how wide the intersection is and where the placement is of the current pedestrian crossings, those stop signs are set back a little bit more so than they normally would on many intersections. And because of that and the restrictions as far as where you're allowed to place stop signs as far as from the edge of traveled way, we are going to go ahead and put stop signs on both sides of 6th Street because there's a 25-foot requirement as far as how far that stop sign needs to be from the edge of traveled way. So we'll have a bracket that we've got made to go ahead and cantilever a stop sign over there. But in addition to the first reading tonight, I just would like confirmation that council would like us to go ahead and make this change with a tentative date, weather permitting, of this Thursday.
I'd move forward with that. That's my
Second.
recommendation.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Heather, for looking at this map now, or this graphic, would there be painting for like pedestrian, walking, or it was the crosswalk?
Yeah, so the white larger lines are stop bars, and we are proposing to paint those stop bars just to indicate where people should stop. As far as the actual crosswalk itself, we're not going to paint the crosswalk. I did go ahead and put a dashed line on the map in front of you just to show you where the pedestrian edge of crossing is going to be if they were to cross. But we won't paint the actual crosswalk signs, we'll just paint the stop bars.
Okay, sounds good.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I am not in favor of doing this. This is not going to make this intersection safer. I believe we are going against professional guidance on doing this, and I'm not putting Heather on the spot at all, but, in my research, this is not an appropriate intersection for a four-way stop, especially given the downhill approaches from the north-south. This is also a road that was meant to get traffic north and south more quickly through town. So we're deprioritizing the majority of traffic, I'd say, to the amount, I think it was 4 times as much north-south traffic at least as east-west traffic. I've gone through this intersection probably 10,000 times in my life, and that's no exaggeration. I used to have a business out there. I had an office there for 15 years. I live in that area of town. I just do not think this is a wise idea. I think we're going to get more accidents. If we were serious about making this a safer intersection, we should do a study about putting a traffic circle here. That fits our traffic patterns in Marshalltown, where we have 2, maybe 3 busy times a day. It gives pedestrians just one direction of traffic to cross. I would be 100% in support of doing a survey to do that, but I am against putting these stop signs here.
Okay. Any other comments?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Heather, what is the speed limit here? Is it 35 or 45 here?
35.
35. Okay. Yeah, because I was driving down South 6th Street, and I was like, oh, I need to get up, towards Iowa Ave. And I'm like, oh, wow, if that stop sign would have been here, I would have had to stop. Now that I think about it, I'm like, ugh. But then I came from West Myrtle Hibbs, and I'm like, okay, well, if I would have stopped here, I would have been able to go now, but if there was another stop on the other side. So I see it on both ways. Like, it's nice to have it on the one that needs to get on South 6th. And so I mean, I don't know. I was concerned about this at the beginning, if, for safety. So could you let us know a little bit more on the safety side, Heather, if you...
Yeah, so I also have to rely on studies and guidance that people who research these kind of things have. And those are the stop sign warrants that we went over after the petition was filed. And right now, those warrants aren't met. And so from my perspective, my recommendation would not be to make this a 4-way stop. I do understand comments about being proactive for future traffic, but to some degree, you could apply that to a lot of other places too. As far as putting stop signs in, the importance of thoroughfares in a community is to provide that arterial and collector streets and to minimize the amount of impeding traffic flow. So definitely installing stop signs in this location would impede 6th Street as it's currently designed today, which is a thoroughfare here in Marshalltown. So ultimately, this is an ordinance. That's how our stop signs are written right now. So council does have that decision making, and all I can do right now is provide provide information as far as none of the warrants are hit specific to safety. There's one warrant that addresses safety, and that looks at crash data. And that's the information that I presented as far as the 11 crashes over the last 5 years at this intersection, not meeting that threshold, indicating that there was a significant safety concern that would warrant taking an arterial street like this and going ahead and adding an additional stop in that location.
Thank you.
Anyone
Your
else?
Honor? So I would take a different view than Jeff. So basically a couple of things. One, we've got a petition with over 300 signatures of citizens that live in this subdivision. This subdivision has no exit that you get through that has a controlled stop or a controlled intersection. The fact that there's hills going both ways coming down towards that intersection is not an increase in safety. It is very seldom is somebody going 35 by the time they get to that intersection. So I would support moving forward with the four-way stop and support the citizens in my ward that have petitioned me to do so.
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think, with Councilman Schneider said about having a roundabout, I know plenty of snowplow drivers that would probably be against a roundabout. I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but I know plenty of snowplow drivers that would see this as being a headache. Rick could probably enlighten us a little more if I'm wrong.
Okay. Anything from the public?
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. You know, Greg, when this first thing was proposed, I was against it. But the more I drive 6th Street, the more I think we need it. And as the viaduct is going to be closed, more people are going to be using 6th Street, that traffic is going to it's going to increase. And I really think that a four-way stop sign there would be a safe bet to do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Let's deal with the whether or not to approve, if the original passes, to go ahead and change it on Thursday. Okay, and we have a motion and a second on that.
Yes, we have a motion and a second to add the stop signs at that intersection on Thursday.
On Thursday. Okay.
Point of order. Is it my understanding that this intersection by earlier council was to have four-way stops? So it's the non-issue as part of this ordinance, if I understand that right. Your list had it as a four-way stop before we even took the petition, before we made the motion to bring it back. Is that correct?
The ordinance currently does have 4 stop signs at this location. However, as we go back to the minutes of the meetings from the 2012-ish timeframe when this particular intersection came forward, the minutes read that it was not going to have a 4-way stop. So I don't know what happened, if they got removed from an ordinance at the same time as the recodification was happening and they somehow got added back in, or something happened in that 2012 to 2013 timeframe, because 2011 and 2012 there was discussions particular about this intersection that came forward to council, and initially council was going to make this a 4-way stop. However, that was reversed. The speed limit of this road was lowered from 45 to 35 mile an hour, and then council's direction from those minutes was to keep this only 2-way stop. So something happened there in the 2012 to 2013 timeframe that the ordinance either added or didn't remove some type of a 4-way stop when some of those discussions were happening. So the council minutes don't reflect what the ordinance is listed.
Thank you. So another point of order. The first motion needs to be voted on first, correct? The motion to approve the first reading. Because the second motion was an independent motion. It was not an amendment.
It was not an amendment. I don't know if there is
We can. we can do-
requirement.
You can vote on the first motion first.
Okay, let's do that first, whether to put it in or not. Okay?
The first motion is to vote on the first reading of the overall ordinance, correct?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez? Yes. Cahill?
Yes.
Okay, then we had a motion and a second to direct staff to go ahead and get it put in on Thursday.
At the stop signs, yes, at that intersection on Thursday.
Yes. Roll call, please.
Sorry, point of order again then, because now you're saying that historically it didn't exist because the minutes didn't, just want to follow the rules here. I want the stop signs, but I got to follow the rules. To put a four-way stop there, you have to have 3 readings.
The 3 readings would have happened at the time of recodification in 2013. So the readings have taken place. The discussion happened prior to that recodification. So there was a typo that happened sometime, like I said, from the best of my guess, is between
Okay, so
2011 and
Getting back to my original
2013.
point of order, if the recodification of the list, that supersedes anything before that, that council passed a new traffic schedule. So that intersection should have had a 4-way stop at that point at the recodification, correct?
That is how the ordinance reads.
Then we don't need to vote on anything to put the stop signs up. You're delinquent in getting the stop signs up.
I'm just asking for council direction because of the issue, and it comes down to a safety issue at this point, because we are doing what we can as Public Works employees to take direction from council to put 4-way stop here, and because of a change, we're just being transparent as we can be in order to make sure that that is the direction that you would like city staff to go ahead and proceed with.
I think staff is asking for some clear direction here. For clarity's sake, it would be beneficial for council to adopt another motion to direct staff to do that this Thursday. I think that would be helpful.
Roll call, please.
Yepes Gomez?
No.
Cahill?
I'm sorry, I am confused on what we're voting on here.
The motion is to add the stop signs at the intersection of South 6th Street and West Merle Hills Boulevard on Thursday, March 26th.
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. That
Thank
was
you.
easy. Moving on to the next ordinance.
Ordinance 15116 to amend the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 156 zoning regarding accessory structure locations and zoning definitions, first reading.
Hear a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Clayton?
Good evening. Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. This was an item brought forward by our Planning and Zoning Commission. They identified that when we rewrote the zoning code in 2022, we did not properly address street side yard setbacks for accessory structures. We had language about accessory structures not being located in the front yard of a structure, but didn't address the street side yard. They wanted to get that cleaned up. And in further reviewing that, we identified a lack of several definitions on how to define what the front yard is on a corner lot. We didn't actually even define what front yard was, what side yard was, so we're adding in some of those definitions to provide clarity for people. And there is also a graphic in there that helps illustrate where those yards are. This has been before Planning and Zoning Commission, and they have recommended approval. I am happy to go into further detail or answer questions as needed.
Does anyone have any questions? We have a motion and a second.
We do.
Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
No. Okay, ordinance number 4, please.
Ordinance 15117 to amend the City of Marshalltown Municipal Code by adopting the 2021 International Residential Code, including Appendix AF for radon control methods. First reading.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Mr. Enders.
Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. This is a continuation from our discussion at our last meeting about adopting the radon control methods appendix for our building code. This would apply to the 2021 International Residential Code. There are 2 specific local amendments called out that this would apply to 1 and 2 family residences. That's just to clarify what it is. That's a pretty standard local amendment for this, since it's just left blank and up to the community to decide. The second one relates to testing for radon. The ordinance would require installation of a passive mitigation system. Testing would remain optional as currently drafted, and if they did that, if they voluntarily did that, we would prescribe that they should do it in accordance with the appendix, those steps. The reason we're recommending it remain optional is that does add an additional about $500 to $750 just for the testing on top of the installation of the passive system. And if testing fails, then they have to go into an active system, which increases costs. They can still do those things if they want to, but we're at least going above what we currently do by requiring at minimum that passive system. Then it's just voluntary if they want to go up to that next level of potentially getting an active system. Staff is recommending approval.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 5, please.
Ordinance 15118 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 93, Parks and Recreation, Leisure, Section 93.001, Camping Time Limits, Permit Fee. First reading.
I hear a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second.
Yes, this is related to a presentation council received, I believe it was at the last council meeting, regarding allowing the Parks and Rec Department to issue permits for longer-term camping at Riverview Campground.
Are there any questions or comments? Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Okay. We're moving on to discussion.
A discussion regarding property maintenance code enforcement, nuisance code enforcement, and parking code enforcement.
Okay.
Good evening again. Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. This is more of an update item. There's no specific action item requested of the council tonight, but I like to keep you apprised of our enforcement progress here in town. And I did want to address property maintenance, nuisance, and parking tonight. As you might recall, last year we started kicking off property maintenance enforcement in earnest. I had initiated 120 property maintenance cases in 2025, and I don't have the number directly in front of me. It was 30-some properties did get turned over to the city attorney's office. Those were largely because of failure to communicate with city staff. If people communicated with us, made a reasonable plan to address it, we didn't proceed through fines or anything, but there were a handful of cases that we had to do that with. And in many of those cases, we agreed upon with the property owner that if they completed the work by a set time frame, there'd be no civil penalties for those. But if they failed to meet that time frame, then a civil penalty would be imposed. I'm happy to say I'm very pleased with how people responded to this, and no one was thrilled about getting a notice that they had to fix it. Let's be honest about that. But people acknowledged, yeah, we need to do some work. We're going to get it done, and people did. So we're continuing this theme into 2026 for property maintenance. So far this year, since the start of March, I've sent out 37 cases with an emphasis along our major arterial roads, collector roads, and commercial nodes. The intent was to focus on areas of high visibility in anticipation of RAGBRAI coming into town in July. Try and get as many properties maintained as we can in advance of that. We will be continuing to identify and serve notices of violation to additional properties throughout the year. But really the spring focus is about those very high visible properties. So that's property maintenance. Nuisance is going to be very similar aspects this year, focusing on those high visibility properties early in the year in advance of RAGBRAI. We have talked internally in our department about doing about 2-3 weeks in advance of RAGBRAI, doing a pretty heavy proactive sweep of the community on nuisance enforcement, so we can get those notices out. We typically will give them 10 days to address most nuisance issues, such as junk or weeds and grass, things of that nature. That time frame would then allow us to turn over any non-compliant properties to our city contractor, who should be able to get that work completed in advance of RAGBRAI coming through town and put on his best looking face we can for the community. And we've already made our contractor aware that you're probably going to be busy. I hope they're not. I hope everyone just does everything and we don't have issues, but we've already kind of cautioned them. And then parking code enforcement, I can't remember if I've talked to you about this in the past, but that's largely been running pretty good. Matt Clausen does wonderful work. And one thing he wanted to report is with the back and diagonal parking downtown, he is starting to see majority compliance with that. It's becoming more and more rare that people are head-in parking down there, so it's not as big of an issue for him. The one area that he wanted to try to tackle a bit more this year was we have issues with yard parking where it looks like they're parking in a yard, but there's actually gravel, but it's all grown up with grass and weeds. So kind of enforcing our parking maintenance standards on gravel, which says that it has to be free and clear of weeds and grass with a minimum 4-inch depth gravel. So that should hopefully help with some of his enforcement. As he's driving by, it's pretty clear, yes, you're on a parking spot, or yes, you're in your yard. So that's the very quick rundown of this. Again, I just wanted to provide an update, give you an opportunity to ask any questions of me, should there be any, but there's no specific action item requested of you this evening.
Anyone have any questions?
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to commend Clayton and his crew for what they've been doing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Clayton. Would it help if you had extra boots on the pavement, such as with city councilors driving down the street, pitching in and giving you a little bit of help?
We certainly welcome it, and we'll receive any complaints or that you have and address those. If we don't get that, we will continue business as usual, proactive out on the ground, but we can't have eyes everywhere at every point in time. So if you do see something that needs addressed, I welcome you to send that my way, and we'll get our team on that.
Yes, I'm putting the challenge out to the rest of the people sitting up here. If you really want to make this town more beautiful, you'll step up and help them out.
Okay. Anyone else?
Your Honor, I just have a question kind of tangential to the parking, and Heather, this is maybe more for you. Are we going to restripe the new downtown pavement this year? I think it's probably due to that it was new pavement last year is why there's not a more permanent marking. Just curious.
Yes, pavement, when it's new, has a couple different things. First of all, when you install pavement later in the year, it doesn't have time to cure before that pavement marking is applied, so that does make it wear off really quickly. Additionally, when you have concrete pavement, that color of that concrete is very light, And so from a visual standpoint, white pavement marking lines are harder to see. So yes, we have plans early on, once we start our pavement marking crews up, which we'd like to wait till nighttime temperatures remain above 50 degrees. Relatively consistency. Some of the areas downtown that have had new pavement here in the last couple of years are definitely on the priority list.
Heather?
Heather? I have had a couple people reach out and say, for the back-end parking, running the stripe up the curb would be much easier to identify. Do you have any comment?
Yeah, we have received that comment, and we are currently in the process of analyzing costs in our equipment on how to do that. We did take our equipment out there, and that's not going to be something our equipment can do and keep a nice sturdy straight line, so that would be manual work. So they maybe already have, and I just haven't seen it yet. Rick Legg is taking the lead on answering that question as far as the costs and manpower associated with doing that. Because of the manpower and cost associated with doing that, we would probably limit that to the back end angled parking,
Yes.
where that would be helpful.
Thank you. Everyone, all right. Discussion item number 2.
Request from the Marshalltown Community School District to vacate an alleyway located between South 12th Street and South 13th Street adjacent to the Miller Middle School practice fields.
Good evening again. Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. This is a request from the Marshalltown Community School District to vacate about 0.02 acres of alleyway. It's a very small area. I have a map in here if I can find it. So it's this red dashed area here. School district has acquired all adjacent properties in vicinity of this, so it would impact no private property owners. The one remaining property owner that does access off of the alleyway here would retain access there. To the best of our knowledge, there's no utilities located in this. Since this is a request by a governmental agency, the request would be for the city to gift it to them as allowed by Iowa code. That would be city staff's recommendation to vacate this alleyway and gift to the school district. Happy to answer any questions or go to detail if needed. We are seeking direction from council tonight on whether to proceed or not.
Go ahead. Do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to gift this to the school district, correct? Anything from the public? Roll call, please.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to road use tax fund.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm inviting a couple members of our Public Works leadership team up to help me with this item. Okay. We have attempted to put some information together to not only talk about our budget year 26 amendment and our budget year 27 request, but also wanted to throw in some information about the road use tax fund specific to comments we've heard at public council meetings in the past, questions we've had from members that have come directly to us, and questions that council members have asked of us that we would like to share, just so everybody has the same type of information. So road use tax fund is a fund we call 110 when you look at our budget comparison reports. Primarily in public works, we have Rick Legg, our street superintendent, David Deemer, our electrical and facility superintendent, and then support from our engineering division as well, which operates out of this fund. Within this fund, we have several functions that are part of it. 2010, which is our roads and bridges, that's our operating budget for for our street maintenance. 2011 sidewalks. Now that is a function that's not used very often. Sidewalks are not generally a road use tax eligible item unless it is done in conjunction with a street project. So I do have a couple of projects that I have put in the capital improvement plan in that function. However, when it's not done in conjunction with a street project, we do need to bring bond money or some other source lost potentially to fund those projects. 2012 is street construction. That is a function that I'm using in your budget comparison reports to some of those standalone larger projects. 2030 is street lighting, 2040 is traffic safety or signals, 2050 is snow removal, 2060 is engineering, and 2070 is street sweeping. We also have one additional fund that utilizes road use tax funds. That's Fund 111. That is the fund we set up for our insurance reserve. Here just a couple of years ago, we're currently at a budget of balance of $78,000, and we're putting money in about $25,000 a year to grow that. So with that said, I want to talk through a little bit of street maintenance activities and would welcome Rick.
Good evening, Rick Legg, Street Superintendent. So I was just going to start out with some of our annual activities that we do, just to give a kind of a overview. So we have a staff of 12. 2 of those being mechanics that maintain most of our city fleet, minus transit. They have their own mechanic. So that's PD, fire, street, parks, housing, and all the other departments for the most part. And then the other 10 members of the 12 are the ones that you see out on the street on a regular basis, doing all the patching of potholes and other things like that. But during snow removal operations, we do utilize not only those 2 mechanics along with the other 10, but we also utilize 5 from the sewer division as well. So we have a staff of 17 to remove snow. But we also some of the activities, other activities that those 10 employees do, besides patching potholes, is street sweeping, the blading of alleys or adding rock if need be, of residential alleys, shoulders on our outlying roads and stuff. And we do have some gravel roads. A lot of people don't realize it. A city has gravel roads. We do have a few sections on the outskirts of town that we take care of that as well. Repair and replace street signs as needed, mowing those roadsides again on the edges of town that need to be mowed. And then, of course, painting when, like Heather said, when the overnight temperatures are staying above 50 degrees, planning on doing the lines uptown on all the new concrete and stuff, parking stalls and in parking lots as well, center lines and left or turn lane arrows. We use stencils and stuff for that, so there's a lot of aspects to the painting part as well. So a couple of challenges, I guess, that I wanted to highlight on how we've kind of tried to do what we can to decrease or help the budget with our equipment budget and stuff. It's getting better, but the lead times on equipment have been from the time of you guys approving the purchase to when we actually, like say a plow truck actually lands, was shortly after COVID, was about 2 years. So we're asking at that, when we asked for that, obviously, it used to be less than a year, so that's stretching out. We're not getting our equipment rotated as often as the typical life of it would be, so therefore our 2 mechanics that do everything else, or a lot of other departments, vehicles and equipment. They're doing a great job of keeping up with that, but it's also welcome when we actually do get those trucks in. We just got a couple trucks midpoint this winter. I think they've actually plowed the last one or two snows, so it's nice to, when trucks go out the door, not that brand new is perfect and nothing happens, but we get trucks moving a lot more and broke down a lot less. So back to what I said before with my mechanics also being plow drivers, when one truck goes down, it's actually two because we got to bring in a mechanic. So it's nice to keep, especially the snow removal and stuff, equipment rotated to where we're not breaking down as often. That's kind of a challenge that I think we're doing a pretty good job with the limited resources that we have. And then also another challenge has been with the State Street a couple years ago. We lost what I call snow storage when we plow. We plow the one night, and then the next night we come in to pick up the snow. We plow it to the middle. Now with the addition of the cycle track and the wider sidewalk, we don't have enough room to have that there, plus 2 lanes of traffic. So we've, to kind of overcome that obstacle, we moved the snow to the south side of the street where there is parking at. So that's not in the 2 lanes because there's no parking on the north side for that one night until the next night when we come in after we've gotten everything plowed. And then we come in, pull that out when there's no traffic uptown, and we're able to bring it out so that we can pick it up with our equipment and stuff. So just a little different. I was on the radio the other day, and it's not more difficult, it's just different. And we adapted, I feel, as good as we can with doing that and trying to have it be not too painful for people traversing the business district until we were able to get the snow picked up. And then one other thing that we were trying to maximize, I guess, the efficiency of our salt usage, and we're able to utilize on most of our newer trucks, almost all of them now, we have, they're electronic to where we can actually calibrate the amount that goes out. So it's less, once they're programmed, it's less operator involved in it, in more keeping the same consistency. So we're not, one guy's not putting it on heavier and going through because he thinks it, maybe needs a little bit more or whatever. So we've got things kind of dialed in, if you will, by calibrating those spreaders. And it's really helped a lot this year because we've still gone through a lot of salt, but had we not had those calibrated before, we would probably be reaching out to the DOT to see if we can get some more to get us through the winter. I think we've gotten it dialed in a lot better to where we're not using as much salt as we used to. So, and then just a couple other items that I guess I kind of look at highlights that we've got a good staff. They're more than just operators and laborers. They're kind of thinkers, and they're handy in fabrication and like to, instead of buying something when we can do it in-house, it's not just asking and they're grumbling about, they enjoy doing it. One of our pieces of equipment that we built was a brine trailer similar to what you see the DOT when they're pulling the brine trailer to pre-treat before the storm. Before, we always had a dedicated truck, and so that kind of limited the use of that truck by having a tank mounted in it all winter long. So now we've got it, we bought a trailer, and then we built the system on it with the pump, the tank, to disperse it so we can utilize many of our trucks. It doesn't have to be dedicated to one truck to hook it up to pull the trailer, and it's a bigger tank than what we had before. So we got more capacity, which means less times of filling up, so we can get more coverage, more of the town treated before the storm. So kind of proud of the guys for taking that on and willing to do that, and it's made us a lot more efficient with pre-treating the streets with brine and stuff as well. So, And then also pavement markings over the last, just kind of started back when Jessica was here, when we had not the straightest lines, as some of you guys might remember. And she asked me what it would take to get something that we could have straighter lines with, and I said probably about $500,000 for a paint truck, and she told me to get it, so we did. And hopefully you can see that it also helps that our guys are more experienced now as well, but they've got, it's way more high-tech, a lot more computerized, taking the guesswork and the looking and stuff. It'll kind of help adjust itself a little bit. So a lot of money up front, but it's a lot of increased. Again, we can get so many more miles of street done with the white edge lines or the center lines or whatever with this truck. It's just more efficient, and we're able to cover a lot more ground, a lot less time, get those guys off that and get them onto something else. Getting the painting done quicker. So that's been a highlight that I feel has been a good investment for the city, getting that paint truck. And then the other little thing I guess I kind of want to brag about, that again, in this situation this winter, we've got two salt storage facilities down at the Public Works, and in the past, we've always just, when semis deliver the salt in the off-season, we just simply, our wheel loaders just push it up. Well, it's only got so much reach, and we've got a lot higher, I'll call it airspace. So the idea was to start renting every year when we get salt in, just for a month, or sometimes it's less than that. We run a big quarry conveyor that runs off a generator that we borrow from water pollution, and we're able to probably double our salt capacity by utilizing how high we can stack it, where we couldn't do that with wheel loaders and stuff before. So there's no way we'd have been out of salt a long time ago, earlier this winter, with all the snows that we've had we not came up with that. A little bit of an expense renting, but again, in the long run, we're able to store a lot more salt and get it to go a lot farther. So I guess, those were some of the things I wanted to highlight. And then also, just some of what we do because of the utility department, only having, a couple of people, that works great a lot of times, but sometimes, we have to assist them with manpower or the equipment. We kind of share equipment. We use theirs sometimes for certain things that we do, but there's things that we have for equipment, or just the manpower to help them out when it takes more than 2 or 3 people to do it. So I guess that's kind of my segue into introducing David Deemer, our utilities and facilities.
I did see your brine trailer. It was going down 18th Avenue behind my house, and I thought, why are we delivering LP? So it's good to know.
Any questions, I guess, or anything?
I got one quick question, Rick. How do we keep people from driving through the newly painted lines? Because the new line truck is great, but it sucks when somebody pulls across it right after it's painted.
And what I tell the guys, most of them get it. I used to have a gentleman that's retired now that he would get upset about it, and I told him, I said, you can't do anything about it. They get behind you. They're basically trapped. If they're going to go around you, it's inevitable when you're painting the center line. And the thing that I guess the reason I don't let it bother me, I know there isn't anything you do about it. You go out interstate, state highways, it happens everywhere. So I just tell the guys, hey, if we're doing something wrong, so is everybody else. There's just no way, because you can't tell them to stop and wait for 20 minutes or half an hour until that paint dries. That's not going to fly, I guess. So I wish there was a way. If you figure it out, please let me know, because it's irritating to see that you got the nice crisp line. The guys are, you know, and then all of a sudden you got, you know, tracks going out, and for the most part, those kind of fade because obviously it tracks out and it's lighter as it goes out, but for a while it's kind of, you know, kind of a blow to your ego or whatever you want to say, and trying to keep it nice and crisp. But let me know if you get that figured out. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Anybody else got any questions? All right.
Thank you, Rick.
As Rick mentioned, I'm David Deemer with the Electrical and Facilities Superintendent, and I will be shorter than Rick. Just
That's a low bar
just
to clear.
because I don't have as much road use tax as he does. You know, we have traffic signals and streetlights. So 24 traffic signal intersections that we maintain and roughly 150 streetlights. Now, I know there's more streetlights than that in town, but Alliant does majority of them. So annual maintenance items that we do, DOT requires us to do conflict monitoring testing on every traffic signal. We do that annually, change the filters in those cabinets twice a year, and then daily we check all the traffic signals to make sure there's not a green light, red light, yellow light out, it's holding on the side streets. We rely on all the other departments, fire department, PD, and the community to help us with that. So, as Rick said, increasing cost, that goes to traffic signals and street lights too, and lead time on the equipment to get here. So, our biggest challenges are our accidents that we have on the traffic signals, getting the parts we needed to get repaired, get it back up and running. We can't keep parts for everything on hand. So, you know, I think it was 2 months for the last cabinet, which was actually fairly good, but still a pretty good lead time. And then we are in process of mapping all underground electrical. We have a good start on this. It just takes time because it takes us to go out and locate it, and then Heather's team to come out and mark it in GIS. It takes time. And like Rick said, we share equipment and we utilize his staff a lot. So, and with that, I'll open it up to questions. I don't.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Yep.
So all of both David and Rick's team's work goes into some of the budget items that we'll go through here as part of the budget comparison report. But one of the questions that I've heard a lot of is, you guys have road use tax, why isn't my street fixed? So wanted to talk just a little bit about the funding mechanism for streets in general, and then also all of the work from both the street and utility divisions. So funding is primarily road use tax money that funds these divisions, which is a combination of motor fuel tax, annual vehicle registration fees, and fees for new registrations. So all of that money goes to the state. And then the state divides that up on the circle chart there on the upper right. So city bucket of all of that money is 20%. Of the 20%, it's divvied out to the different communities based on their population. So Marshalltown, we've got about 27,500 people in our certified population, and we get somewhere around $138 per person per year. For that. So that is historical funding that we get for revenue for Marshalltown road use tax funding. We're projecting right now in 26 and 27 to be in that $3.8 to $3.9 million of revenue or funding for these activities in a given year. So as I mentioned, $3.8 million. And so when we talk about where does that money go, it goes to wages of these staff members, all of the capital projects, equipment, all of those kind of things. The benefits themselves don't come out of road use tax funding. Those go through property taxes and the employee benefits levy. Anytime we do capital projects that are street related, there's an opportunity to use geo bonding for that. And so that would be a debt service levy for property taxes. And then local option sales tax is also used as property tax relief. So in a roundabout way, local option sales tax also does fund street projects. But specifically, I wanted to do a little bit of a comparison for road use tax. So I just grabbed a relatively average home here in Marshalltown over on Sunset Lane. And a given home has about 88 feet of street frontage on their side, an average street width of 31 feet. And so just looking at one of the very many things that our street department does is snow removal. So we've got houses on both sides, so you give half the road to each house. And so for snow removal alone, we spend about, we remove snow 1,364 square feet per house. When I looked at our most recent numbers so far this winter, we've removed snow 16 times from our residential areas. And if you look at those numbers as far as how many households we have in our community, 2.7 people per household, we've got 10,135 households. So annually, we would get $374 of road use tax per house. So that's the amount of revenue we get in from the state in a given year per house. If you compare that to what a lot of people spend for removing snow on their driveway if they would hire a contractor, we'll say their driveway is 22 feet by 44 feet, assume $25, which I think is low for what some people pay for snow removal. A given house may spend $400 this year on snow removal alone on their driveway. So what we get in total costs for all of the work that both Rick and David's team does, in addition to maintaining our streets, is less than what most households spend in a given year if they would contract out snow removal services. So that is why the road use tax dollars do not go as far as some may feel it should go as we look at street maintenance projects. But as we talk about expenses, again, for road use tax, staff salaries, equipment, fleet, the buildings that hold our public works staff, repairs and maintenance, now that's patching, Durapatching, potholes, crack sealing, stuff that we do internally with our street maintenance employees, electricity for our street lighting, our traffic signals, the actual street lighting, the 100 and some that David mentioned, as well as we pay a fee for everyone that Alliant hosts and holds here in streetlights in Marshalltown, snow and ice control, gravels for our shoulders, our alleys, our roads. Every, depending on the structure, it's 1 to 4 years. We get a bridge inspection on every one of our bridges, conflict monitoring that David mentioned, our traffic signal controllers, our backup batteries, removing trees from the Park and Rec Department. If they're removing trees in our right-of-way, that comes out of our road use tax money, mowing, road signs, traffic counts, and so many more. So all of those expenses combined is what you'll see coming out of the 110 fund. And as we look at the fiscal year 26 amended budget, we had a starting fund balance of $12 million. Our net revenue expenses is we're looking to grow our fund balance this fiscal year by about $300,000. As we look towards next year, we have some of those capital projects coming that we're planning on using road use tax funds, and that's going to really drop our road use tax balance. So we're projecting to drop our road use tax balance by over $5 million next year to have a projected ending fund balance of about $7 million. So the chart in the upper right-hand corner, that is looking at our road use tax between fiscal year 19 and where we're projecting in fiscal year 27. So it takes a lot longer to build money than it does to spend it. But I will also say and agree with some of the comments previously that in the last couple of years we have been grabbing and holding on and building our cash balance so that we're able to do some of those projects. Some of those major projects are at the bottom of the screen. We're talking about East Main Street reconstruction from 5th Ave to 12th Ave, Highland Acres Road reconstruction. The project that was approved earlier tonight is in there as well for the 2026 residential rehab. We also are planning for a box culvert replacement on State Street near 14th Street. And then we also have another bridge project coming, Center Street Bridge over Lynn Creek, so the one just south of the viaduct. So as we look at all of those numbers coming out, our projected fund balance at the end of 27 is about 7.1 million. If you look at the capital projects that we have in 2028, we're probably dropping that another 6 million if all of those continues to come out of road use tax. So as we review and bring stuff to you, just things to consider as we continue to go on. But with that, I would recommend approval, or I guess discussion item only tonight, of the 26 amended budget and 27 for road use tax. And with that, I would open it up to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Anything from the public? Okay.
Your Honor, may I? Just have her comment. Well, one, I would just want to thank Heather for all the work that she put into all the agenda items she has on the agenda this evening. But also, I want to thank her for inviting her team here. I think it was great to have them highlight a little bit about what their challenges are and some of their successes. So thank you to the team for attending this evening.
Now, you want to talk about the next discussion item?
Next discussion is enterprise funds.
I will invite a couple more members of the Public Works leadership team up. We have Bob Branson from Water Pollution Control and Troy from our sewer department. So we're going to talk about enterprise funds now. Enterprise funds includes our stormwater, our sanitary sewer, and our compost facility. It also includes transit, but we did talk about transit here just a couple months ago. So we're going to start with stormwater. Stormwater, as is most of the functions within Public Works, we share and work as a team within different divisions quite a bit. So stormwater is actually a division that both Troy, Rick Legg, and Bob, and myself and Ben in engineering all work within. We have 4 functions in stormwater. 8065, which is our main operating one that we talk about, storm sewer pipes, the intakes that you see, the pump stations. We've got 2 of those. 8066 is where some of our capital projects and engineering occurs. 8067 is our levee system, and then 8068 is our stormwater permitting, which is a DNR requirement for the city's MS4 permit. So with that said, I will bring or ask Troy to come up to talk about our stormwater collection system.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Troy McGay. I'm your sewer superintendent. I want to give you a brief introduction to our department. It includes myself, 6 full-time maintenance workers, and 1 full-time asset and records management coordinator. The maintenance workers add versatility to the city by assisting with snow removal, and they also team with streets on combined forces to do some road patches. Our asset and records management coordinator also assists in engineering inspecting, GPS point collection, and traffic counting. We utilize a fleet, 2 jet vac combo units, 2 backhoes, 3 one-ton trucks with dump beds, a CCTV sewer inspection vehicle, a locate and inspection vehicle, 2 185 CFM air compressors, a supervisor's truck, and a numerous number of deployable 4- and 6-inch pumps for emergency bypass pumping. So a few things about storm sewer. We have nearly 3,700 structures that we take care of and 62 miles of piping ranging from 6-inch to 72-inch. Large-scale items that we have accomplished, Hughes and North 4th Street, where we found a few utility box lids that became either dislodged by weather events or possibly mischief, but regardless, it plugged up our storm sewer, which caused it to pressurize and basically explode underground, which also caused street ruptures as well. So that was a very big project that we got done by utilizing a local contractor. Another big facet that we accomplished was the Franklin Field storm sewer. The Franklin Field storm sewer line that runs basically from West Main underneath and all the way to Braddy Creek was replaced. It was a conglomeration of multiple years of additions. We saw anywhere from clay pipe to concrete pipe to hollow block tiles. It was originally, Franklin Field was originally basically a dump site for storm sewers, and then they eventually added on to that all the way to Braddy Creek so that we could build the Franklin Field. Some other things that we, sorry, lost my spot. 12th Street, we have a history of flooding on South 12th Street, just north of Iowa Avenue. We did regrade over 100 feet of drainage ditch there along Iowa Avenue, so that mitigated that problem. And then also some items that we're facing in the near future. Our storm sewer utility rate, as we're all aware, is depleting in funds, and we need to make some adjustments to that to coincide with rising costs. We do have aging infrastructure. Some of our infrastructure, especially basically down the middle of Main Street from northwest part of town all the way east to approximately 12th Avenue, is 100 years old or getting closer to 100 and a quarter. So some other ones that we need to identify some facing the future would be providing storm sewers in areas that do not currently have good drainage. One of those would be possibly Bringleson's addition in the Santa Barbara, Catalina, Wardview area. That was a system of overflows and doesn't have a real substantial great drainage area. So a lot of homes experience wet basements and wet areas. And then also we need to consider upgrading and upsizing storm sewers as the city grows. Both area-wise, we need to look at capacities and then also pipe sizes, diameters, and the other conveyance systems to get to our lift stations or our fresh waters. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Any questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Ranson. I'm the sewer superintendent, or the water pollution control superintendent. And my main involvement with stormwater is my department maintains the stormwater pump stations. So we have a station on 18th Avenue, right by Lynn Creek, that basically drains the what was referred to as the sloppy addition, or the northeast corner of town. That's a critical lift station because if that doesn't work, then it floods that low line area. And super expensive equipment in there because it's all very big. It wouldn't fit between the floor and the ceiling in here, and there's 3 of them. So very important equipment and very costly to maintain and to replace. And then the other lift station is the Riverview Park north of the stormwater lagoon that actually pumps over the levee. So that's how we get the water from internal outside of the levee system. You recall the new pond down there, and all that is, part of that retention area, but we have that lift station as well. So both of them are good stations. They're in need of some updates. So the one at Riverview Park has fairly new controls, rebuilt pumps, a self-cleaning bar screen, but it has its shortcomings with the amount of water that can come. It can flood. Just last year, it got close to the 918 in that area in there. Water can back up so quickly. And then 18th Avenue has some maintenance needs that will have to be addressed. So I'll give a longer talk here in just a minute.
Rick Legg, Street Superintendent. Just want to go over part of what the Street Division does as far as levee maintenance that's required by the Army Corps of Engineers. to maintain our levee. Our part that we do, and again, shared with Bob and Troy, we do the mowing of the levee system at least twice a year. Also tree trimming, we got to keep trees back per the Army Corps of Engineers 15 feet from the toe of the levee on both the riverside and land side. Also, after a flood, when the waters go down, obviously we pick up any flood debris, trees, things like that, to make sure that everything is clear and flows good for the next flood that we hopefully don't have. We also, our part that we play in maintaining the levee is we're required again by the Corps to keep at least an inventory of 1,000 filled sandbags, and then we also have well over 1,000 empty ones on hand, and along with sand, and then we have, I'll call it components, for a sandbag filling station if we need more than that 1,000 in a flood situation for the public or something like that to, around their businesses. The components basically consist of a couple of sawhorses and a board and some upside down traffic cones to funnel into the thing, but I wanted to make it sound cool by saying it that way. So anyway, exactly, it's practical and it works. And then that's basically our part of it, and then there's other things that, so I'll introduce Troy again for the parts of the maintenance that they do with the levee system. Any questions of that? Pretty straightforward.
Thank you. So levee activities, the sewer division has 4 main responsibilities for the levee. As Rick stated, after the Army Corps of Engineers has their inspection, we are tasked with animal burrows. So each of those animal burrows, as the inspection goes on, are GPSed and put on a map. And then we're given that map and the coordinates, and then we can go through and we go with the recommendation of mitigating those animal burrows so that they don't create possible soft spots in the levee, which could be detrimental during flooding situations. Another thing that we do is also flap gate inspections. So when you have pipes that enter the Lynn Creek, for the most part, in Anson Creek, those pipes have flapper gates, which is basically a one-way valve on the end of the pipe. It allows for water to convey through the pipe into the creek, and during high water times, it limits the activity of water backflowing into the city's storm sewer system. So it keeps the city from back charging. Another one that we do provide is vegetation mitigation. We go through all of the gate wells, the aprons, the flared end sections, and all those structures, and we remove volunteer trees, any type of vegetation, spray if needed. And then a fourth one is we monitor those creek levels and river levels. Sometimes when those creek levels get to a certain level, then that is indicative or correlates to ground saturation inside the city, inside the protected levee area. And then we know to start looking for certain areas that we've predetermined, low-lying areas with our sanitary system. Even though we've taken strides with CIPP lining, there are still methods of infiltration and inflow through private laterals and such. And that is indicative so that we have to go out and check those areas to make sure we don't need to do bypass flood and report to DNR. So that's kind of our end of the deal on the levee. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Who is responsible for deciding when the levee needs to be greater capacity? In other words, pull the silt out of there? I know that it was done about 20 years ago.
I don't know if it was that long ago, but I think the Army Corps of Engineers had done a study and recommended to the Public Works Director that some siltation be removed and bank shoring be provided.
Because I remember the city doing that. And I believe they did it in the wintertime too, that they found.
They may have.
They found a contractor that was kind of hungry.
That might have been Peterson Contracting. Don't quote me on it, but that was before my tenure as a supervisor, so
I know I live right down there on 15th Avenue, and 93, that's one of the few times I've ever been scared is standing on top of the dike and the water was within about 4 foot of going over. And I'd never seen so much water in my life.
Yeah, the river and creeks can come up substantially during heavy rainfall events.
Everybody appreciates that levee.
Yes, they do. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
So as we talk a little bit more about the stormwater fund, particularly the levy, one of the objectives that came out of the strategic plan here last year is in the next 2 to 3 years, kind of understanding where some of the discussions with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources and the Army Corps of Engineers left off, because several years ago there was some discussion about the levee protection level. So our levee system, we have 3 of them, are designed to a certain water level in the Iowa River. And it has, 3 foot of freeboard. So means the design level, if the river is at a certain elevation, the top of the levee is 3 foot taller. And that's how it was designed, and we've already exceeded that design level of the Iowa River. So there's been some discussion of whether or not we need to raise our levee system. And so we're hopeful here over the next 2 to 3 years we can maybe at least get a little better understanding from those partners at the DNR and the Corps on what their thoughts are as far as our levee system. So how do we continue to best protect Marshalltown moving forward? But as we talk overall, one of the things that really stands out to me is that there are so many divisions and people involved in maintaining stormwater. So when we talk about the stormwater fee that shows up on everybody's water bill, a lot of people tie it directly to, I don't have a storm sewer pipe in my yard, so why do I pay this fee? But as you can see, it really is citywide, and there's benefits. There's a levee system that needs to be maintained and those kind of things as well. So our stormwater primarily operates out of Fund 740. Starting in fiscal year 26, which is in the one we're in right now, we had a fund balance of $2.8 million. That is slightly inflated over where it would be just because we had $400,000 of bond money that we ended up transferring, and we're operating out of 740, so it would be roughly $400,000 less. But as you look at our net revenue and expenses over fiscal year 26 and 27, we're projecting to reduce the fund balance by about $600,000 each year. And so that's not sustainable. So we're looking at why that's happening and how do we make adjustments moving forward. So specifically looking at this upcoming fiscal year, it costs about $730,000, just annual operation and maintenance standard items. We have $500,000 of capital expenses that we're requesting, and I'll go through those. A lot of them are related to those 2 pump stations that Bob mentioned, needing some pump costs, some maintenance, cleaning out the silt in them. We do currently have our transporter truck that is used both in our sanitary sewer system and our stormwater system that is due for upgrade. So the portion of that, 40% of that was $40,000. A portion of a tractor, that's a dual tractor for use both on roadsides and road use tax, but also our levee system. We do have a capital improvement project planned to extend one of the storm sewers that were installed with the State Street project out to tie that in to Lincoln Street. We have an item in there that I called subdrain retrofit for our puking intakes. In town, we have some areas that were installed with storm sewer intakes that use hydraulic pressure to operate. So water comes and runs down one gutter line, goes into the intake, into a pipe, and only once the hydraulic pressure is enough to make it spill out on the other side of the intake does it operate. I don't know that that is anything that I've ever heard of in my engineering career, so I think this is one of the things that they did 50 years ago and maybe isn't operating so great right now. A couple of the areas really have issues in the wintertime because we have a high groundwater level in certain areas. So when somebody has a sump pump connected to this pipe, and it operates like a puking intake. In the winter, when that just starts to spill out of the intake to go down the street, in cold temperatures, it freezes. So we have several areas in town that are more problematic than others, but you will see sometimes ice dams form on roadways in the winter around intakes, and a lot of time that's what's going on. So we do have a project in there to maybe look at tying some sub-drains into those intakes to try to take some of that low flow out of the intake so it doesn't come freeze on the surface during the winter time. And then we always like to carry a $50,000 annual emergency repair budget. So those make up the capital expenses. We also have 2 GO bonds, and I should say not GO bonds, they're revenue bonds because they're being used with a utility, but our debt service payment on those right now is about $550,000 a year. We also have the 2080 agreement that was passed by council for the Franklin Field project. So that payment of $130,000 is also due next year. But all in all of those funds together make us a little bit nervous on where the fund balance is going with storm sewer. So as we look at how to reduce expenses and increase revenue, we've talked about delaying the portion of the pump station work. Potentially could reduce that maybe by about $100,000 between stuff that's needed in 26 and 27 if we were concerned about our capital. The State Street Storm Sewer Outlet project that I mentioned initially was going to be funded by GO bonds. However, since we are currently not planning on issuing for GO bonds this next fiscal year, to keep that project moving forward, we've put that money in this project, but that is something that could be up for discussion to save or delay that project for another time. We talked about our TV transporter truck. That is a capital improvement need. For the most part, it is used in both sanitary and stormwater, but it's more heavily used in sanitary. So because of where fund balances are at, it's probably a reasonable shift to go ahead and shift that over as a sanitary sewer expense. And then the last one is one that we don't like to talk about a lot, but as we review personnel costs, personnel cost is a lot of times the large driver of our budgets. And so we've been working over the last couple of years to try to find efficiencies. And it's a little difficult in stormwater because nobody is solely funded out of stormwater. You know, we have 10% of me, we have 3 superintendents here, we have the sewer maintenance employees that are 40% stormwater. So one opportunity we've been working towards is our stormwater coordinator position is tentatively planning on retiring later this year. And so we've looked at those job duties to see how we might be able to reallocate those. We could also use technology to take some of those duties that took longer in the past and maybe use technology to make them take less. So 18 months ago, we hired a new individual that was replacing an asset records management, but we brought in some additional technology capabilities with that, with GIS, to reduce that amount of time. So at this point, we would like to at least see what happens if the rest of us can pick up some of those duties and leave that stormwater coordinator position upon their retirement later this year. So that would be a savings of $45,000 just in this fiscal year coming up, and larger if we're able to sustain that moving forward. So those are some efforts we're doing to reduce expenses. As we look at revenue, our revenue is related to our stormwater utility rate. We talked about this 2 years ago quite a bit. However, over to the right-hand side is a graph. These charges in fiscal year 17 started off at $4 per ERU, or equivalent residential unit rate, and they stayed pretty steady. Did not change until fiscal year 24, which was 2 years ago, and I brought an item to you guys requesting an increase of 20 cents. That passed, and I am requesting tonight a 30-cent increase. Again, we don't take this lightly. We think long-term, a more sustainable path is slower, smaller, steady increases to fund this type of work. But as we look at kind of where the fund balance is headed, we would like to make an adjustment to keep that headed in the correct way. So if we do some of those items above, we would, instead of going down to a fund balance of 1.6 million, we would be able to cap that out at the 1.9 million. So with that, we would like some direction from council tonight about a rate increase of 30 cents that would take effect July 1 of this year. Also, part of that long-term discussion, we do want to look a little bit further ahead, and we think the appropriate time to do that is when we're talking about some of the road projects that are coming up later this fall, so ahead of the next budget cycle. Many times, road projects and stormwater projects go hand in hand. Roads are generally the flow path for stormwater outside of the pipes, and pipes are never intended, never designed to handle all stormwater. The roads are that overland flow as well. So as we look at some projects, the Fourth and Meadow Lane project that went on, we funded that with a revenue bond. Storm sewer installed as part of the State Street project was funded through a GEO bond. Box culvert work associated with State Street is being funded out of road use tax. So all of these things have to do with stormwater, but there's different buckets. So it's hard for us to outline a rate plan without knowing how council wants to fund projects like stormwater projects that may have different avenues to fund it. So we want to have a larger discussion about that, again, in conjunction with the road use projects here later this year. But with that, I would open up to any questions specific to the stormwater utility enterprise fund. Those can be questions about fiscal year 26 or 27 budget, and then also a little bit of direction from council, whether you'd like city staff to bring back an ordinance amendment, I think it is, for adjustment of rate effective July 1.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Heather, could you please describe where the 30 cents would come from and where all the math on that or the funding on that?
Yeah. So right now, stormwater utility rates are billed to every parcel in Marshalltown that has more than 100 square foot of impervious area. If you are a residential parcel and your property is less than 2 acres, you are charged 1 ERU per month. So if you are a property owner, you have a house, you have less than 2 acres, you are charged right now $4.20 a month, and that comes through on your water bill. So we're requesting that changed from $4.20 to $4.50, so a 30-cent increase. So that would be where those funds come from. Commercial properties or properties larger than 2 acres, their ERU is based on how many square foot of impervious area they have on their lot themselves. So it represents about a 7% increase. So if a commercial property owner or a larger residential property owner wants to adjust and understand what this might do to their bill, it represents a 7% increase on the bill for that particular line item.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Other comments? Questions for Heather?
I'd make a motion to increase the stormwater fee by 40 cents.
Do I hear a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Questions or comments?
I have a quick question. So I agree with you, Gary. I think that the trajectory is not where we need to be, especially with all the future risks we have. Is this the time, could we establish maybe the 2% increase or 1% increase after this as well? I mean, the costs are not going down on these types of projects. Flooding episodes keeps getting worse as farmers tile more and more fields. The water just gets to the waterways faster. Levies are going to rise. This is under this budget. I think we need to be thinking about the future here.
I agree with you. We definitely need to be looking at the future. Whether you guys want to make a motion tonight on that particular or not is fine. I know previously when we've looked at some sanitary sewer rates, we projected, I think it was a 1% increase 3 years in a row doing that. We're fine with that, but we also do plan to, like I said, incorporate that as part of the road use tax conversation and street projects, just because of how closely tied roads are to stormwater. But we're happy with any direction and discussion for these rates moving forward.
UFA?
Yes.
Yeah, I know on North Fifth Avenue, there's some people there that were wondering who is in charge of making sure everybody gets billed that, because I told them it was up to water department, not anything to do with the city. But there are some people down there that aren't getting charged.
Okay, I'm happy to look into that if you can provide me some more information. That is one of the things we've been trying to work on. It's proven to be a little bit more challenging than I initially anticipated. But for our stormwater utility rates, initially when the city did this project, we took every parcel and identified what that parcel should be charged at the when this rate was enacted back in the 17 timeframe. And what Waterworks did at that time is they took that parcel and assigned it to a specific meter. And so there have been some property transfers and meters being turned off and stuff, and we have to rely on Marshalltown Waterworks to connect those right dots. When we're made aware of those kind of things, we do try to follow up on it to try to get those things corrected. But we have had some discussions with Waterworks trying to figure out how we can make that process a little bit easier, just because we do hire Waterworks to provide the billing both for our sanitary and stormwater funds.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to amend the current motion to add a 2% increase every year after this one-time increase. So for FY '27, the 40 cents that Gary recommended, and going in the future, 2%.
Okay.
So a question on that. 2% forever and ever, or is this a automatic renewal of 2%?
I'm essentially proposing an automatic renewal. I mean, inflationary numbers are over 2% every year, even in good times.
I can go ahead and say maybe if we write this in our ordinance, we could say 2% unless otherwise voted on council, so that there's an opportunity for an adjustment to be made. But if no additional ordinance passes, then that would be a default July 1 raise.
Your Honor, do we need a second on that amendment? Before, I thought we need to.
We do not have a second on the amendment.
We don't have a second on it. So do we discuss if we don't have a second? We shouldn't. Okay, because I was like, I made amendments and you guys have not let me discuss. So I was like, so point of order, guys.
Okay. So let's do the amendment first.
We need a second on the amendment.
We need a second for Jeff's amendment.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. We're doing the amendment first, which is the 2%. Okay? Set roll call.
Cahill.
Still have a question? Does that come after, or?
Yeah, roll call.
Can I pass? I thought, and come back at the end? No? Okay. I am going to vote no.
Fonseca.
No.
Mitchell.
No.
Nichols.
No on the 2%.
Schneider.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Yepes Gomez.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment failed. Now let's move back to the 40 cent, correct?
Your Honor, is this the appropriate time to talk about a different amendment? I would like to propose an amendment that we raise the 20 cents didn't you say that we would go from 420 to 440?
We have a motion on the table to increase, she recommended 20 cents, but we have a motion on the table to increase the rate by 40.
She recommended 30
Excuse
cents.
me, 40 cents. We have a motion on the table for 40 cents increase.
40, I guess I thought it was at 30. Okay, all right, 20, I apologize. So the new, so my amendment would be to raise, after this year's increase, raise it by 1% per year.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, you have a motion and a second? Okay, this is for 1% per year automatic? After the 40 cents? Okay, roll call.
Nichols.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Yepes Gomez.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Fonseca.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the 40 cent.
Clarification on that, if I may.
Okay.
That same wording that Heather suggested, unless the council annually decides to, this is a default, not, it's just, okay.
Okay.
Just making the point, I mean, a future council can undo all of this. So, yeah.
Okay, let's have roll call, please.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Yepes Gomez.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Fonseca.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our next enterprise fund. It's the Sanitary Sewer Enterprise Fund. Similar to storms water, several departments or divisions within Public Works are involved with this. This is operated out of several funds. 610 is our home fund. That's most of our annual operating, with 8015 being water pollution control and 8016 being our sanitary sewer. 611 is where our revenue comes into. 614 is our capital reserve. 615 is where we operate our large capital projects, so we're talking seven-figure type work at our plant. 616 is our large projects for sanitary sewer system, and then 617 is related to new sanitary sewer connections. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Troy.
Good evening. Troy McGay, Sewer Superintendent again. To give you a brief description of our sanitary sewer, we take care of 3,150 structures and 150 miles of piping ranging from 6-inch to 42-inch. Some of our large-scale accomplished items, we finished our CIPP project, which is a pipeline project. It has multiple benefits. It creates more longevity for the pipes, and it also seals the joints and anything else. We eliminate unneeded entries for water, and it helps with the water pollution control plant fighting infiltration and inflow. We finished the Highway 14 problem that we had with the sewer main collapse. Construct repaired that, and then as a proactive approach, we went ahead and identified all lines lying underneath the Highway 14 corridor from State Street North, and had those lined as well, so that we wouldn't have this issue again. We currently use 2 preventative cleaning programs. That results in over 150,000 feet of sewer line cleaned annually. That is only preventative. It is not reactionary. We do clean a lot more than that on a reactionary basis as well, as calls come in and needs arise. City and county mud pits. There are city and county buildings that have floor pits or drainage pits, and we clean those twice a year, every spring and every fall. Items that we're facing in the future, once again, aging infrastructure. We are prolonging some of that aging infrastructure with a CIPP liner. It is a 6 millimeter thick sock inserted into the sewer line. It is steam cured. And like I said, it provides a little bit more rigidity, seals joints, and gives it some more structure. City expansion. City expansion versus current capacities. As the city expands, things we need to think about also are capacity issues with more usage of water. Will those pipes be big enough to convey the sewage water? And also will our lift stations, which we have numerous lift stations around town, at low points, which give it more elevation for gravity sewer to take over, will those be enough to take on that extra capacity? Initiating a FOG program. FOG stands for fat, oils, and grease. I'd like to see this FOG program come into play for numerous reasons. It will hold, such as restaurants that produce high amounts of grease and fats. It will hold them a little bit more accountable for maintenance issues by us using the right of director's entry. We can go in and do periodic checks when time is available. And then we can also work with some of the entities around town that do clean those pits out for those businesses. But working together so we can, this will help. If you've ever seen on the news greasebergs in London that are several feet thick, this will help keep our pipes cleaner, reduce call-outs, and also reduce wear and tear on our pumps at the water pollution control plant. Also, creating a post-cleaning televising program with quality control. Currently, a lot of our video records are incomplete. We are working on it currently to get rid of this incomplete data, and with some past contractors that have been used, a lot of mistakes were made. I have approached Heather about a third party with doing after our cleaning projects, going behind us and cleaning or televising these lines. It would be several thousands of feet, which I don't know that we could be doing in-house, but it would provide every year more updated. Some of our videos are from the 90s, so it would give us some more updated information too. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, I'm Bob Branson, the Water Pollution Control Superintendent. My part of the sanitary collection system is the maintenance of the 7 sanitary lift stations. So basically, wastewater flows to the low areas, booster stations send it back up the hill. So we have 7 of those. Marion, Turner Street, near the Y, East Main. There's actually one inside the Lennox factory because the lift station was there first and they grew around it. So similar to what I was telling you about the stormwater stations, they have their maintenance issues, their aging infrastructure. The 18th or the East Main lift station has been scheduled to have new pumps put in it since I started, and we just keep maintaining them, and they just keep lasting. So with that, unless there's questions about the lift stations, I'm going to just move on to water pollution control. So this is actually where I spend the majority of my time. So I have a few comments regarding water pollution control, but if I get to rambling on, give me the bunt signal or quote my kids and say, land the plane, Dad. So don't hesitate to shut me down. Staff and I usually get accused of working out on Center Street because nobody knows what wastewater is. They'll think that we work at the water plant. So we pride ourselves on staying off the radar and not generating public comment. However, we feel that we are one of the most important departments, potentially because we're one of the most heavily utilized. So except for a very few properties that have septic systems, we have nearly 100% participation with the city, often several times a day, and if you are staying hydrated, even more than that. So just a few facts about water pollution control. We're a grade 4 facility, so we fall into the largest category of communities, providing services to over 15,000 people and more. We treat about 3.5 million gallons of domestic wastewater per day, along with 2 million gallons of industrial wastewater. So that gives us a population equivalent of about 70,000 people. We produce about 7 million gallons of biosolids each year. Part of that process produces methane gas that we are able to capture. As part of the byproduct, we capture it and then we burn that in a generator and produce electricity and also recover the heat for building and process heating. So it's kind of a very green recycling process. We still utilize the original facility built in 1938. Marshalltown has always been known in the industry and around the state as being innovative and maintaining an efficient, well-run and maintained facility. We were one of the first activated sludge plants in the state of Iowa back then. So most of our capital improvement projects are driven by environmental compliance or end-of-life cycle equipment replacement. Like our sludge thickening project we have going on and our upcoming aeration system upgrades. One of the largest projects driven by environmental compliance in recent years was the consent order from IDR to eliminate SSOs or sanitary sewer overflows. So that project included the addition of the Iowa River Interceptor, the screw pump station, and an additional 20 million gallons of flow equalization. So although that project was terribly expensive, it provided it eliminated the need for bypass pumping to go from sanitary to storm sewer. So as Troy mentioned, all those bypass pumps that they have in inventory, we're able to not have to do that as often now, which is great because nobody wants to put sanitary to storm. So very, very important project that we're proud of. And then just some positives about water pollution control itself. We have a very, very low turnover rate. In the 30 years that I've been there, I can think of 3 people that haven't retired from the plant. We operate one of the largest budgets and operate an estimated $60 million facility with 14 people. We're manned 24 hours a day. We have an excellent preventive maintenance program that allows us to often exceed lifetime expectancies of equipment, and we utilize rebuild opportunities over replacement whenever we can. So some challenges that are ahead of us. We're just so heavily regulated by environmental agencies, DNR, EPA. We submit, daily monitoring reports each month. And then once it gets to be the first of the year, I just refer to that as report writing season. So we have IDNR and EPA get a pre-treatment report, and then there's the biosolids report, the water use report, the Tier 2 hazardous chemical, small emissions inventory. I got a whole calendar of it that I can't remember all of them. But so just environmental compliance is one of our main drivers for our plant. Nutrient reduction strategy that is being imposed by IDNR to reduce nutrients in the receiving streams is likely to begin within the next 5 years, have significant capital investment along with additional annual operating costs. If the industrial certified property down there on the southeast of the plant, that parcel, it's like 64 acres or something like that, if that ever sells, which is going to be great for industrial growth, but it also reduces our rent. We have to find a place to put 1.2 million gallons of biosolids, and it doubles our trucking costs for that area. So, if it does good here, it knocks me back over here, but it's one of those challenges that we'll work through. The water pollution field does have room for growth, but it's domestic growth, low strength waste. If we were to have a high volume protein processor come to town, it would be significant capital investment to be prepared for that. And then one of our biggest challenges is an aging workforce at Water Pollution Control. The 2 youngest guys that started with the city are now the 2 most senior guys that are with the city. So of the 14 people, I think 4 of them are under 50. So we've got an old crew and a lot of institutional knowledge that has to be captured in the next few years. But those are some of the challenges ahead of us. So questions I can answer for you?
Troy, I noticed I've been down the park, once or twice a day down at the dog park. You've been having tankers running in and out of there all day long, so they're taking stuff out to farm fields?
Yep, so that is our biosolids. In the fall, we have to truck that out to land outside of the city limits. In the spring, we apply at the property owned by the city right there at Water Pollution Control. So the spring goes really fast because they can pump straight out of the tanks and apply it. In the fall, 3 million gallons divided by 5,500 gallons a truck takes a long time. That's how we're complete. So truck traffic will be reduced.
Thank you.
You bet. Other questions? I give a bunch of tours every year to anywhere from 3rd graders to engineers to Lego League. So if you ever are curious, you can tag along and take a tour. So thank you.
So before I jump into the numbers, I just want to reiterate how fortunate the city of Marshalltown is for the leaders behind me. They really do kind of operate their divisions within Public Works and work as a team to do quite a bit with what we do have. So I appreciate them very much. As we talk about the sewer enterprise fund balance, those funds I mentioned are outlined on your screen, both with the fiscal year 26 amendment and the fiscal year 27 budget request. We operate at a higher cash reserve fund balance than many of the other departments, but many of our projects are millions of dollars a piece. Most of our projects right now that we're talking about are all greater than $3 million. We just wrapped up a $10 million project at Headworks and Digester. So with these projects that we have coming up, our projected fund balance is going to be $21 million at the end of next fiscal year. As far as utility rate, we've been fortunate right now that we did some proactive raising. We're keeping up with a 1% raise per year there for a little bit. With our compliance from DNR that we were doing on the consent order, we got a little bit, we projected we were going to get a couple more projects done sooner than we did. So those projects have taken longer, not because of us necessarily, but more so because of the DNR permit review process and compliance review process, getting through those steps. So we were able to build that fund balance up and feel comfortable where we're at. Typically, our sanitary utility rate, we raise those in January. So it's off 6 months set from the stormwater fee, as they do show up on the same bill. So at this time, we're not interested in recommending a raise tonight on the sanitary sewer side of things. We also have an insurance reserve fund that we've started, which we contribute $100,000 annually to, and we'll continue to do that. But overall, I don't really have anything to add or any direction I need from council tonight, unless you guys have questions on the sanitary.
Thank you.
Seeing none, I'll be very short on this next one. We're talking about compost as our next enterprise fund. We're opening this Friday at our compost facility. Our hours of operation are going to be the same as it has been this last year, so closed Monday through Thursday, Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays 9 to 4, Sundays noon to 4. We are currently working on one initiative with Marshall County Landfill on some signage and communication out there, and potentially applying for some grant for some of those upgrades. So starting revenue fund balance out there was about $229,000. When you look at both of our 26 and 27 numbers, we are projecting to basically break even $2,000 to $3,000 a difference per year. So I think we're dialed in pretty good right now as far as our fees and our costs out there. Are there any questions about our compost facility? With that, I will turn it over to Diana Steiner to talk about the last enterprise fund. Oh, I don't know if I was supposed to press that button. There we go.
Diana Steiner, Finance Director. Since Kelsey's not here, I'm going to talk about the Aquatic Center Concession Enterprise Fund. You should have a new handout. Put the wrong one in the packet. Sorry about that. So their budget is around $60,000 for revenues, $60,000 for expenses. They have a small ending profit. The Aquatic Center Concession Division operates in such a way to ensure revenues exceed expenditures. Staff closely monitor inventory to minimize waste and recover costs. Concession items are priced to earn a gross profit of 30% per item on average. Any questions? Questions?
Roll on.
Okay, new topic. Okay, we're going to talk about the capital plan. So the last time we talked about the capital plan, you requested that some of the items be removed from bond funding. So we've done that. We are now paying for the Kiwanis Park and the Farmers Market out of Fund 030, which is our levy for property taxes. And we had $250,000 in local option sales tax for the trails, bridges 2 through 5. So we've now moved that to the bond. And we talked about reallocating bond funds for the Aquatic Center, which you tentatively approved, and Carol's going to be bringing within the next several meetings. So you have a new capital improvement plan. Hopefully you had a chance to look it over. And then we, in my memo, I go fund by fund of what's in those items. I do want to bring your attention to the Fund 355, Dangerous and Dilapidated Building Fund. That is basically running out of money this year. When we bond next time, which would probably be in fiscal year 28, at that point in time, you would want to bond for that probably. We've been bonding between $500,000 and $600,000 every several years. And then that is going to be a taxable bond since we're reselling the property, not a tax exempt bond. So it will be separate, but you can borrow all at one time. Any questions on this? Okay. Next topic is general fund update. So when we put the budget together and we came with our requested, or you advised us of how to put the general fund back into budget. At that point in time, we were going to allocate $1,033,223 transfer from local option sales tax. Since we did put the budget together, there has been a change, and that is in the PPME union contract, which are the street employees and the sewer employees. We originally budgeted a 3% increase for them, and we think that now it's going to be 5.5% for the first year and 0% for the following year. So we do need the authority to spend more of that money. This is going to be offset with the road use tax fund for practically all of it. And then we have increased benefits because of that, when taxes and IPERS ties with that. So we need the higher authority for that as well. That will come from the employee benefit fund. So we kind of outlined in the memo where all the expenses are coming from. Any questions on this?
Your Honor, I do have one.
Go ahead.
Diana, it's my financial brain is not, really don't have one, but no. When you said the wages, the union wage contracts will be paid out of road use tax, can you explain that a little more, what you said in that?
They're paid out of the general fund.
Paid out of the general fund.
And then we're going to transfer, for gross wages, we're going to transfer money from road use tax to cover that.
And,
For the enterprise funds, they'll pay for their own.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Yes. You need a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Roll call, please.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, can we have a couple of